Hi, I'm Menza. I post a game every day until I reach 500 elo. I am currently rated 417. And we are white. We're going to get into the London and get as developed as possible before any attack happens. Hopefully. Okay. So now we have it all started. They're bringing that bishop out there. Here. That's fine. I will put that pawn up here so that when I bring this mountie out, it can't get pinned. And it also stops that mountie here on his side going up here, which also causes another problem. And now he's got his king castled on the queen side, and we are going to just continue our development as long as there is nothing immediately being problemed. And this bishop will go to king 2, and then I can castle on the king side. So it'll be opposite side castling. I can see that he's probably going to start trying to attack on the king side, which as I'm saying it, they're trying to push pawns. So we'll put our bishop there and get our king castled. And because of the extreme cold, I'm wearing my huggle to keep myself heated. And it seems to work pretty good. And okay, after castling, the queen will probably be moving up to queen 2 so that the rooks are connected, and then we will try to blast open somewhere and have a file for the rooks to go through. So yeah, they want to do that, which means I have to retreat my bishop. And definitely have to watch that. Sometimes I miss that being pushed, and then my bishop is sitting there being attacked by a pawn. But, trying to be more onto the opponent's moves. Wanted to castle, which will hopefully happen next turn. And the queen has to stay on defensive. That is being attacked by the bishop here. So I don't want any kind of just dropping pawns. So they are rated 348. And putting their knight out there on the rim. Just gonna make sure that there's no... Put the king back. If that knight comes up here, does it cause anything bad? And okay, let's just continue and try to castle. And when that knight goes here, it's going to be protected by this bishop. Okay, so, and it's obviously not attacked, though if I could get something to attack, it would be a good thing. Like, so if I was to push the pawn up here, Then the knight is obviously attacked by a pawn, and if he's looking at this, it's defended. If he's looking at that, it's defended by a pawn. And what else? So do I have to even attack? Don't like how much is coming in on my king's side there. So if I start doing something like, for example, this is protected by the queen. I can't just take it off, obviously, though. Could this bishop do something? It could go here. I usually don't like putting it there. It's safer where it is here. But this bishop and knight combination is kind of problematic on my king side. So, do I push this pawn? And bishop would have to figure out what it wants to do, or the knight, I mean. And goes takes, if the knight goes here, even without taking a pawn, I've got a knight on that, and my king. So is it even necessary to try to kick that out? Perhaps, and perhaps not. So I bring my queen up here. Just don't want something very disastrous happening. Too many pieces are coming in on my king side, which I do not like. So, pawn move or queen move? Well, takes that, it's protected twice. Not attacked twice right now. He takes that, it is protected twice and attacked once right now. So perhaps just bring my queen up and get my rooks developed. Maybe on this file here, looks like maybe once I push this pawn, it attacks that rook, so he'd have to take me. And that pawn is going to be looking at getting up again, which is going to trap this bishop. So I have to consider that it's already can't go any places without a pawn being on that. And undeveloped for these both. So if I get my rook from here over to, I guess, king 1 and start advancing there, I could start trying to blow things open on the king side as well. On the queen side, I mean, where his king is. So my knight has that square. The bishop does. He pushes. So if I push right now, his knight is under attack. Do that because I think there's a little more things happening on that side than what I see. The knight can't just take that. If It is in defense of that square, so if it goes back here, that could be considered something, because I think there's a lot of pressure coming in on the king side that my pieces are going to have to be aware of. I don't want to take any pawns in front there, and I do want to be able to take things with my pieces. So the knight going back here, he gets rid of it. Okay, so now the bishop is looking up in there. She can't obviously take. So maybe I have succeeded in foiling whatever plan, though the queen and the bishop are looking right down here. So if a pawn pushes, and my knight would come back here, which would be on that square. I don't like it on the rim, but in that instance, it might be something that could be considered, and my bishop would have to have a place to go as well. Push this pawn, he takes, take back, then he takes and lose my knight, so let's really figure out. It looks like they're going to try to push the pawn there, and I'm feeling like having my knight back here protecting that square would be a very good idea. Obviously this bishop, if he pushes that pawn, then that causes a problem for that bishop as well. And so I have to really figure out what I should do then, because I don't want my bishop just to be taken for nothing. Because no, and I don't want to spend so much time on this, but pushes. See, there's too many pawn able to be pushed to cause a problem. So if I do push the bishop back, we'll do the bishop back. I was thinking of the knight. I don't like the knight on the rim, but it's doing that. So if the pawn pushes again, then I can take it, but I really don't like that. So do I continue with my plan, getting the bishop rook over here, and then start blowing open over here? This could also be moved to attack that. And have to get my other rook developed. He pushes, it's going to take 2 turns in order to get that pawn up, so it's not like it's just going to do it right away. And then this knight could potentially, oh, if I do that rook move, then it can't move, can it? And it can't come up here, and queen is in the way of that. Rook there, and he pushes that pawn, then this pawn is not defended by a pawn anymore. Okay. I'll get my rook over. And obviously if they push, then this pawn is not going to be defended. And now with my rook over, I can consider pushing this pawn here. It will be, actually, it's only one time protected and 2 times attacked. So something else has to get moved, and if I do put my bishop here now, it attacks this bishop, which the knight is obviously defending. Now they're going to do that, so if I take this, he takes there, then I can take, and there's a whole thing open for my king, to my king, which I don't like. I'll have that pawn and his and if I push this pawn right now, I will take that. And now I am looking at that, and this has to be started to be thought of, as well as this pawn is now able to move if I want to, though there's a lot of different stuff happening. He would be taking, if he takes this pawn here, then I take his bishop. But then you take that, eh? Okay, so I consider everything here. And I'm already down to 5 minutes and 50 seconds, so I've thought a lot about my moves, and they're really doing a kingside attack, though. I don't know what to think about. Oh, if I take this pawn here now, he would take with his knight, and that doesn't do a whole lot. So now if I get this bishop back up here, it also does stopping of anything getting in there. And I really like the idea of that, because if he pushes, it's going to open something to my king, and if I push that pawn, then my bishop is trapped. So I would rather move the bishop here, and then he's not going to get that in, though he's going to probably try to take that pawn. So instead of taking defense off of that pawn, then I think pushing the bishop, stopping that he takes, take there. And is there another thing I can get? I get taking that, then he has 2 pieces on that. If I start advancing this pawn, he takes, and what's my bishop looking right there? So if I bring the bishop up here, it attacks that knight, and it would be taking 1 defense off of that. Though, oh, now I'm back thinking forever, and I'm gonna run out of time because I'm really thinking forever. So I'm stopping that pawn from advancing, though he could take this pawn, yes, which he does. And it's attacking that, so now if I take him back, then he gets his bishop over there. And if I allow him to take me, then... Okay. So... I could always bring my... No, I can't bring that bishop up there, I just lose it. So that wasn't maybe a very good move, was it? But at least my bishop will be in something. Let's just find out. Because once he takes that pawn, he's looking at that. So I have to obviously bring my knight back to avoid losing a rook. Okay. So if he gets another piece in there, then I'm probably going to be having more issues. So if my bishop... We're equal in material, though I'm really down in time. This is not good for me at all, and I really... Okay, so they're attacking this. It's defended. I have to start doing faster moves. This taking that is no good. If I bring my bishop up here, it's attacked. No, and what if I start doing this pawn pushing? I see he's got the pawn on it now, and there's no other. Okay, so now I take with this knight. Okay, and now that knight's coming over on the king side as well. And I have to get my rooks out of here though, because we don't want problems with... Okay, he took... So now queen can't just take it. The king could go here attacking that bishop. And is there something that, well, if that knight moves, then it is protected by the queen, so... If get thing else happening here. If I bring my queen here, then both my rook and my queen are looking right down there. And if he starts moving his queen at all, for example, if I was to be able to attack it with my knight, it would have to move. And okay, there's no pieces on that right now, so let's hope that obviously there's not a fork from a knight. They're very tricky, them knights. That's why I'm hoping to try to get my knight to here attacking his queen. It'll take queen off that square, but will it be able to go somewhere else? That will be the other thing. And this bishop, oh no, we can't come up here because of the bishop would just take it, and I have to watch this rook looking right, this bishop looking right at that rook, and I have to get them moved. Okay, so if I was able to get this rook over here, that would be a start. There's also a lot of pressure if these pieces started being moved, and I'm thinking of moving that knight, so it's not going to be protected where I put it, so that could be attacked too easily. And okay, so the queen is off that square. So now let me just see. With my bishop and my queen looking right down there, if I take that pawn, what does he have to take back with? The king can't take. The queen can't take anything, and the knights can't get in the way. So is it actually where it is? Checkmate. Oh, oh, it was checkmate. I'm very happy about that. I was looking at that and I thought, well, you know, maybe it'll work. And it did, and I'm very happy. Thank you very much for watching. Bye for now.